is Linda Abraham with Eye on Admissions, and I'd like to discuss evaluating your GMAT score with you today. We all know that 200 is dismally awful on a GMAT score, and we know equally well that 800 is super duper fantastic wonderful on a GMAT score. But what about all the scores in between? For all those numbers, you really have to look at them in context, because context is king when you're evaluating your GMAT score. So what is context? Context is very simple. Context equals the applicant plus balance plus the school. ABS for short, and that has nothing to do with the gym or your stomach muscles. The applicant, that is you, particularly the academic aspect of your profile and anything that's revealing of your ability to do well in business school. Specifically, that would be your undergraduate transcript and grades, any courses that you've taken since undergraduate school, obviously graduate degrees and graduate transcript, professional certifications and exams, anything like that. Does your GMAT contradict or reinforce the impression made by your work over time? Other element that you should consider when you're looking at yourself is the group you belong to. Are you from an overrepresented group that tends to do well on the GMAT? Then the expectations may be a little bit higher for you. On the other hand, if you're from an underrepresented group that perhaps doesn't do so well on the GMAT, but does well in the program and after the program, then the schools may have somewhat lower expectations for you, and they might cut you a little bit of slack on the GMAT. Then there's B for balance. Balance is because schools want applicants who can calculate and communicate. That means they want people with high balanced scores, or at least balanced competitive scores, and that's what you should aim for. And then there's S, schools. I've kind of been hinting at that. You need to know the average GMAT score for admitted applicants at your target schools, as well as the 25th to 75th percentile scores for admitted applicants. Obviously, if you're above the average, that's fantastic. If you're below the average, well, averages by their very nature mean that some people get in with below average scores. But once you get around that 25th percentile, the rest of the application has to be really, really strong, because it will be essentially fighting that GMAT score. You also can watch the webinar I recently presented where I gave much more on this topic. It's called That GMAT Score, Implications for Your MBA Application. Thank you very much for listening. This is Linda Abraham with Eye on Admissions.